All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Chris Crenshaw. We are live from the 704 once again for episode 227 of the 815 Exchange. And well, it was a busy week. It was a busy week for the boy, but we are here. All right, college football playoff time. All right, who made the playoff? Who won the conference championships? We had UFC 310. We had the end of F1. We had interesting things happen in college basketball this week on both sides. We even had something to talk about television show because I'm recording this on a Monday with Dune Prophecy and a big week of music. So plenty. All right, we got plenty to talk about today. All right, plenty. So as I say sometimes, get settled, get some food, get a bev, get comfy. We got a long one. All right, we got a long one. As always, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys enjoying the content. And as always, all right, feel free to skip ahead. Timestamps are provided in that description. And also embedded in the video is long form content. I know how this goes. All right, my social media links if you want to follow my daily life. All right, even though I definitely don't post daily. You can find in the description and also in the outro. But ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we got plenty to talk about, all right? We got plenty to attend to, so let's get straight to it, all right? Mountain West, all right? Would it be the Mountain Best? Ashton Jeanty, of course, is playing for the Heisman candidacy, all right? And, of course, this game had big CFP implications. So how would it go? How would AJ do? Well, GT goes for 209 and a touchdown, and that's usually a good sign. Boise State gets it done on the blue turf and wins the Mountain West 21-7. Now, HMW had a lot to say before this game, and he was like, I don't know where Boise is on the map. Well, after every sack, he made sure to let him know exactly. All right, the score operators made sure to let him know exactly where Boise was on each and every replay. So, yeah, that was great. Great stuff from the Boise State media department. HMW, not a great game. Somebody just honked in my neighborhood. It looked like it was about to get crashed. So sorry about that. But yeah, HMW, not a great game. He got sacked 6 times. Boise made plenty of fun of him. Great troll job there. And like I said, Jeanty was Jeanty. All right, that 74-yarder was, a pure Heisman moment. Listen, the man's got 2,497 yards and 29 touchdowns. If that's not the barometer to win the Heisman Trophy as a running back, then I literally don't know what else you can do. We're on Barry watch. He has one more game, of course, as Boise State won this game and made the CFP. He could very well break Barry Sanders' record. It would be crazy, all right? Even though Travis had this insane season and is very worthy, it also feels crazy to me that Jeanty could legitimately lose this. And it's probably favored to lose the Heisman with the season he's had. I know people will say, comp this, comp that, comp that. Well, why hasn't any other running back done it? Why hasn't any other running back that plays this comp done what Jeanty has done? Why is there only one man who might be the greatest running back to ever live that we're even speaking his name with right now? We gotta, I wouldn't be opposed to Trav winning, but I mean, what Jeanty's doing, man, and what he's done for this Boise team, and then make it like I don't know, man, I don't know. So yeah, the Heisman conversation rampants on, but the Broncos do make the playoff, and they're the kings of the Mountain West once again. This one didn't have any CFP implications. This was just a game. All right, American Conference, Army, and one of the big stories all year. Of course, they play Navy this week. All right, that's the only game, and it's going to be a pretty good game. But would Army be going into Army-Navy as the American Conference champions, or would Tulane, who have pretty much ran the conference for the past couple years, or been one of the dominant teams, should I say, would they be doing it yet again in the American? Well, the Kings of the AAC belong to West Point. Yes, Bryson Daly went for 126 and 4 touchdowns. Army goes for 338 yards rushing on Tulane, ran wild, and Army gets it done 35-14, and they do win the American for the first time ever. Daly, by the way, is at 1,480. Yes, that's 1,400 yards rushing, and has tied Mr. Jeanty, who we just talked about, with 29 rushing touchdowns on the season. Respectfully, Bryson Daly needs to be going to New York. He needs to be going to New York. All right? I don't think he should win it, but he needs to be sitting. He needs to be there. He needs to be getting votes. All right? 29 rushing. Now, I know, he obviously Service Academy offense. He's basically a glorified running back. But listen, 29 rushing touchdowns, no matter what you are, is ridiculous. All right? Ridiculous. With 1,400 yards and what he has done for this Army team and how good they've been all season. Like, Give the man his flowers. I would like to see Daly get his flowers and get that New York invite. We will see though. All right, but Army does win the AAC. Congrats to the Black Knights. ASU and Iowa State in the Big 12 championship. And listen, all right, there's only one name to say about this. All right, there was a lot of, by the way, running your trap, take over your trap, should I say. You know, the Conference of Champions got disillusioned, you know, even though it's coming back next year. But, you know, it broke apart. So we sent all these teams, you know, these Pac-12 teams basically as mercenaries, apparently, because they just came in and took over your trap. They took over your conference, and Arizona State took over the Big 12. All right, this game was not close, and I'm not going to pretend it was. 45-19, Cam Scatterbo. 208 and 3 touchdowns. 208 from scrimmage, that is. And 3 touchdowns. Cam was on fire. He was on fire from the jump. Him and Sam Levitt, who, by the way, who's been a phenomenal quarterback for Arizona State all season long, emerged as one of the top quarterback prospects potentially next year's class. 219 and 3 touchdowns. They dominated. All right, Arizona State dominated. They blew Matt Campbell and Iowa State out of the water. All right, blew them, ran them off the field. Now, Rocco Becht and Jaden Higgins gave very, very solid efforts, but this game was all Sun Devils. All right, they came in with a statement. They came in with a mission. We are going to the playoff. All right, so Sun Devils do get it done. They win the Big 12 in their first year. Dilly. Georgia and Texas. All right, listen, as long as Georgia doesn't have to play Bama, they're okay. And apparently, as long as Texas doesn't have to play Georgia, they're okay. Because Georgia gets it done in OT, 22-19, and once again beats Georgia. Texas has only lost to one team this year. One. And it's Georgia. They just can't beat them. All right, I don't know if it's Sark can't beat Kirby or their talent thing. I don't know what it is. All right, but they cannot beat Georgia. And there was plenty of opportunity in this game. All right, Carson Beck gets knocked out of this game, by the way. All right, which actually ended up making Georgia better. And maybe Texas should have considered a quarterback change because Quinn Ewers had a disaster class. All right, that's the only way to put it. And by the way, Quinn started very well. He looked like who Quinn Ewers is supposed to be. All right, we had that horrific. By the way, Isaiah Bond's not even the second best receiver on that team. Because by the way, Matthew Golden, 8 receptions, 162. Demo had 9, 140 and a touchdown. I mean, great performances from them, but Bond was like a sleeper agent. So for all of the hype, for the name and the Sally and the speed, I don't see it. Respectfully, I don't see it. All right, but Quinn had a disaster class in this game. But he started off well. Great ball placement. You know, some of the receivers, even besides Bond, let him down a little bit. You know, a lot of chances they could have had some touchdowns there. And I don't know whether that threw him off rhythm or he started seeing ghosts because that Georgia defense is so elite. But Quinn fell off the rocker. It was crazy to watch a quarterback regress in real time. I mean, regressed completely. To the point in the fourth quarter, he was just throwing it up. Just throwing it up. Now, by the way, some of that's got to be on the OC, maybe on Sark, for some very uninspired play calling, especially in OT and especially late in that game where you could have, maybe took the lead, maybe got in a better scoring position, maybe scored the TD. But some very uninspired play calling, which was just basically, let's just throw this fade to Ryan Wingo and hope for the best, or we're going to just do a terrible run, or, we may not even get the ball off at all. There's a couple of those. So, yeah, I don't know. Texas just kind of fell apart. All right, I don't know what it is about Georgia. They're the kryptonite. They are their kryptonite. Same way that Bama apparently is Georgia's kryptonite. Texas's kryptonite is Georgia. All right, and it was in full effect. By the way, Etienne, who got the walk-off here, he had 2 in this game. Him and the Georgia kicker scored all of the points for them in these Georgia-Texas games. So, yeah, shout out to Etienne. I know that was a hard watch for Florida fans. Carson Beck sucked in this game. All right, it wasn't just Quinn. But Gunnar Stockton came in. Though he did throw that pick that basically sent this game to OT. Stockton came in, and he was that smart. By the way, this is not a Stetson Bennett situation. Gunnar Stockton was a 5-star quarterback at one point in time. He may have fallen to a 4-star right before the recruiting period ended, but for a lot of that period, he was a 5-star, very highly recruited, even though he was committed to Georgia forever, and he was never not going anywhere but UGA. But Stockton, not a nobody, all right, not a nobody, okay? So I wasn't really surprised to see him ball out, but yeah, he was the spark. Immediately in that second half, let them down the field, got that touchdown, and really broke the game open for Georgia, and they just took the reins from there. So yeah, credit to Stockton, credit to Kirby. All right, I think Kirby gets a lot of flack for, some of those Bama games or when Georgia has a letdown. But, Georgia has been Georgia and been probably the power. Let's be honest. They're the powerhouse program of these last, 5 years, of this past generation. They ran the show. They've ran the show. All right, they've been the kings of the SEC, and they're kings of the SEC once again. Texas, not yet. All right, not yet. Also, by the way, Michael Williams and that Georgia defense, 6 sacks of Quinn Ewers and co. Michael Williams is a beast. All right, another great USC commit that turned out to be a superstar elsewhere. But yeah, good stuff from Georgia. They get it done. They win the SEC, and they get that bye, that precious bye. Oregon and Penn State. All right, Oregon and Penn State, Big Ten championship. Like I said, Conference of Champions. We've been all spread apart. We've come to take over your conference. And Oregon did just that. All right, they cement the number 1 overall seed, and they do beat Penn State and send James Franklin to 1-18 versus the top 5. But Drew Allar probably draves his draft stock as much as anybody in the country this past week, even though he did throw 2 picks in this game. I mean, he looked great. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. Allar looked great. The arm was humming, and it was crazy because this came right after the Georgia Texas game where Beck was terrible, Quinn Ewers was terrible. So it was like, yo, this draft class. I mean, besides Cam Wardishiter, it's like, what do we really got? And then Drew Allar comes in here and balls out, even though he could very well come back next year. But yeah, Allar balled out. Hell, Penn State had 297 rushing, by the way. Allen had 124 and a touchdown, even though I think he got banged up in this game. Singleton had 105. Looking at the box score offensively, you're probably like, yo, how? Besides maybe turnovers, how did Penn State lose this game? Well, Dylan Gabriel, I've given him a lot of flack, all right? Because Gabriel's a good quarterback. Not a great one, but he's a good quarterback. But you can win a national championship with a good quarterback, and especially with the roster that the Oregon Ducks have. DG goes for 283 and 4 touchdowns. He was great. I'm not going to sit here and cap. But make no mistake about it. This was the Tez Johnson game. This was the Tez Johnson game. I've been waiting to understand the Tez Johnson hype. I now completely understand the Tez Johnson hype, all right? 11 receptions, 181 and a touchdown. I mean, the stuff he was doing after the catch. That duck was, good gracious. The boy's shifty, all right? Shout out to Rob Dillingham. Instead of Rob with the shifts, we could call him Tez with the shifts, all right? Because the boy was cooking, all right? The boy was cooking. 11 receptions, like I said, 181, 1 touchdown. Player of the game, I believe, offensive player of the game for the Big Ten Championship. And yeah, Oregon gets it done. Number 1 seed, only undefeated left. Is this the year? All right, we will find out. But we had one more game to attend to before we get to the college football playoffs. We had one more game to talk about, one more game to discuss, one more game to find out who's going to the party. And of course, it had big ramifications for the big bad wolf, which of course is Alabama, right? As Clemson crapped the bed, as Miami crapped the bed, it opened up some doors. Now, of course, Arizona State, Iowa State did not help this out, but, it was probably going to be one of those teams making it anyway. So it really came down to this. Clemson and SMU, ACC championship right here in Charlotte. How would it go down, right? SMU wins this game. They make it as expected. Bama makes it. Clemson wins it. Then we are going to have a big discussion to make Sunday morning. And a 10-point SMU comeback in the fourth quarter occurred. Made it 31-31. KJ gets it down. I think there was around 40 seconds to go after they scored that last touchdown. Clemson gets a big return from Adam Randall. But still, it's from 56 yards. All right, 4 seconds to go, 56 yards. And a certain kicker from Charlotte, North Carolina, in his hometown. Now, Nolan Hauser, for those that weren't familiar, is one, as they did say on the broadcast, to be fair, one of the best kickers in the history of high school football. Okay? He is a legend at Huff High School. Okay? He was the number 1 kicker in the country coming out of high school. Okay? And I've seen Nolan Hauser personally play and kick. So I was not surprised. All right? I was not surprised, and I expected it. I saw 56. I said that's makeable. He's making this in his city. Nolan Hauser was about to make himself a household name, and that's exactly what he did. 56 down the uprights. Clemson goes bananas as they book themselves a ticket to the college football playoff. Cade Klubnik went off in this game. I know we were talking about the Charlotte kid. Nolan went off. I mean, obviously, a 56-yarder, crazy as a freshman. But Cade Klubnik went off. I think he was 5 for 6, 1 whatever, and 3 TDs at one time. All right, what they did in that first quarter was masterful. And by the way, Klubnik's been elite for a lot of the year. I'm going to give him his flowers. Now, he needs to make it happen in a big game. He's going to have the opportunity, of course, as they make the playoffs. But, I will say Cade mini elite for a lot of the year. He's looked like he's made that jump that a lot of Clemson fans wanted him to. So yeah, let's play Klubnik his respect. All right, 262 and 4 touchdowns here in the ACC championship. But this was the game for the freshmen. All right, this was the game for the freshmen in Clemson. Brian Wesco had 8 receptions, 143 and 2 touchdowns. Sammy Brown, former number 1 overall linebacking recruit, had 14 tackles. He was everywhere, tackling everything with a pulse. And of course, Hauser hit the game winner. So it was a big night for the Clemson youngins, for the kids who are going to be here for a while. So yeah, I think that could be a really big pivotal moment and kind of shifting momentum for Clemson and keeping them, from, they were falling a little bit. They had fallen from the, the elite levels that they were, maybe, it's been 7 years, I guess now. But they had fallen from that. And, your freshman showing up in this way gives you a lot of optimism, gives you a lot of reason to believe that, maybe the show isn't over. All right. So, yeah, Dabo and the boys get it done. SMU fought well, though. Jennings with 304, 3 touchdowns, did have a pick. Smitty went over 150 from scrimmage, but it was not enough. All right, it was not enough ultimately because Nolan Hauser has a rocket launcher for a leg, and he sends Clemson into the CFP, which we will now talk about. All right, we will now talk about our dear college football playoff, first ever 12-team CFP. And the top 4 seeds. All right, we'll just go down the list. Oregon, Georgia, Boise, ASU. So they all get the first round byes, which leaves us 4 in 2 weeks. Texas versus Clemson for the first time, I believe. Ohio State versus Tennessee. Penn State versus SMU. And then we have the Indiana Bowl itself. And Notre Dame versus Indiana. Which of course means, ladies and gentlemen, SMU did get that last seed. And yes, Alabama did not make the playoff as a result of Clemson winning the ACC championship. There was a lot of back and forth discourse and a lot of upset and a lot of very happy people, of course, about who should be in between SMU and Bama. But yeah, ultimately, I think the committee made the right decision. Bama, you can't lose 3 times. You just can't lose 3 times. Can't do it. You can't do it. All right, it will be a killer for you, and it was. All right, SMU dominated the ACC for much of it. Now you could say they're not equal, but SMU put themselves in a position to make the playoff. Lost a very close game by a game-winning field goal from 56 yards out. Committee decided they were still worthy, and they made the playoff. That's it. I should have just, hoped they should have won. Don't know what to tell you, Bama fans. Unfortunate. All right, I know a lot of you have been very happy with me, but you know what? It's unfortunate. I told you what would happen. All right? Let's not forget. I told you. I told you what would happen, and it happened. All right? Don't be mad at me. Don't be mad at the committee. Play better. All right? Y'all have a lot of talent. Y'all will be back next year, I'm sure. But yeah, Bama it wasn't your year. Just wasn't your year. That's it. That's all I got to say. We'll talk more about the CFP as we get closer, probably next week. Army-Navy next week should be a very good game, even though I fully expect Army to do what they do in that game. But yeah, good stuff. Conference Championship week, GT for Heisman, all that stuff. What a week. All right, that was college football. Now, all right, that brings me to combat sports, which is really just the UFC this week. So I probably just UFC. Oh yeah, there was the tank. Actually, you know what? Keep it combat sports, Chris, and editing. There was definitely a tank fight, which I did not hear anything about. I'm assuming he won. I'm just gonna assume that Tank won that fight because I'm pretty sure Tank fought this week. Unless I'm delusional and I did not see that fight, but I'm pretty sure they definitely fought that fight this week, right? Right, guys? Right, guys? Oh, no, they just announced it. All right, so they're just announcing it for March. Okay. All right. Just want to get that out of the way. UFC it is then. UFC 310, this card was stacked. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. This card was stacked. It was gorgeous. All right, it was beautiful. It was one of the most stacked cards we've had in a while, and I feel like it's been a minute since we've had a card of this magnitude in the UFC, just in terms of, now we've had some big names, but just in terms of relevancy, good fights, I feel like it's been a while. So yeah, I was very happy about this. Of course, the headliner was Kaya Skur making his UFC debut from Ryzen, taking on Alexander Pantoja for who is the true flyweight king. And we got a very definitive answer, ladies and gentlemen. Alexander Pantoja just bum rushed Kai and smoked him with a round 2 sub. Now, Kai didn't look completely out of his depth, but Pantoja came in and had something to prove. All right? He had something to prove. All right? He wanted to erase from a shadow of a doubt who the best flyweight in the world is, and that's exactly what he did. All right? The pressure. I mean, he just puts too much pressure on you, and he drowns. It feels like he's trying to drown all of his opponents. and just he's taking you to deep waters, and we're gonna see if you survive. And not a lot of people, obviously, as you can see, are surviving. So yeah, Pantoja made a statement. All right, maybe it should be top 3 pound for pound. I dare say he smoked Kai Skr, who's very elite. All right, very very elite. We'll see where Skr ends up in the rankings, but yeah, he didn't look too bad, even though it was around 2 sub. But yeah, didn't look too bad. But Pantoja is Pantoja for a reason. Somebody's O had to go. All right, this was, by the way, most wins by 2 undefeated fighters facing off against each other in UFC history. Shavkat versus Ian Garry. All right, who is the true top prospect and future champion, should we say, in welterweight? And we did get an answer. All right, but ladies and gentlemen, Shavkat is human. Okay, this was a great fight, by the way. I saw a lot of people being like, a little bit, but this felt very high level to me. I really actually enjoyed this fight and the tension. All right, I think Ian Garry, and it might be because people don't like Ian Machado Garry, but I think Ian showed a lot in this fight. He showed that he belongs. He absolutely showed he belongs. Took 2 rounds off of Shavkat, who a lot of people had deemed invincible. All right, he had 18 finishes in 18 fights leading up to this. He looked like the de facto. Some people already think he's the best welterweight in the world, with all due respect to Bilal Muhammad. So yeah, a lot of people were expecting, him to come in and expose Ian, as we've seen him do to countless opponents. But Ian showed up and came through. All right, he came through, and that 5th round had us, in full clinch. Okay, if you were rooting for Shavkat, because I thought I'm really had Shavkat fighting for his life in that choke. I did not expect him to grapple with Shavkat like that, but he did and proved it. Ian Garry proved himself, and it was a really, really good fight between 2 guys who I still think could be future champions. I would love to see a second fight down the line when one of them is champion. That's when we probably expected to see this fight. So yeah, both of them proved why they are so highly regarded and, kind of as the future of that welterweight division. So yeah, very impressive performance. Shavkat gets the UD, which was deserved. He gets Bilal next. But yeah, Ian's not going anywhere. He is not going anywhere. What a really, really good fight. This is the fights we like to see. All right? I don't care if you're putting your O on the line and the hype. If you can show up and show out the way that Ian did and show that, you know what, I belong here, you earn my respect. You gain something from that. So yeah, shout out to Ian Garry. But Shavkat does prove why he is the next one. Cyril Gahn it wasn't really Gahn that robbed him. Adeline Bird, who has a tendency to do this, completely robs Volkov, who came out in the cornrows, which was interesting. But yeah, Volkov gets robbed. All right, they gave that to Gahn. It was not Cyril's. It was not Cyril's. All right, and I'm completely off of the whole Cyril maybe is heavyweight champion one day. It's not happening. It's not happening. He is going to be the contender gatekeeper. He is going to be really good as a contender gatekeeper for the rest of his career unless he leaves the UFC. That is what he is. All right, yeah, Volkov beat that man. He beat that man. That's all I got to say about that. All right, Volkov won that fight, but Adeline Bird did Adeline Bird things. Rest of this great UFC card, we got a lot of guys that need to retire. There was a lot of big names, but we got a lot of y'all that need to, hopefully this was the last one out. Kron Gracie retired. Bryce Mitchell put their hands on that boy, slammed him down, and then knocked him out. Lionheart, it was just disgusting to watch that fight. Dominic Reyes put them hands on him. Please go retire. Dom, you're not too far behind. Chris Weidman, why are you even still fighting? Eric Anders took care of him. Clay Guida, you fought since I was born, which at this point is far too long. All right, Chase Hooper continues to get better, by the way, in this contender watch. Guida, retirement. Aljamain Sterling does not need to retire. That fight versus Esolev should have been on the main card. Should have been on the main card. It was a really good scrap, really high level grappling, very entertaining grappling, styled MMA match. So if any of you are into that and missed it, that's a good one for you. But yeah, SLF gets the win, makes a statement that he is going to be one of them ones at featherweight, and looks very, very dangerous, knocking off a former champion. But yeah, that should have been on the main card. And that wasn't even the featured prelim. Craziness. All right, absolute craziness. But yeah, Sterling, don't need to retire. You just ran into the next one. It's all right, buddy. It's all right. But the rest of y'all gotta go. All right, y'all gotta go. But that was a great UFC 310 card. Very entertained. ENT. All right, entertainment. Dune Prophecy. My God. We haven't really talked about this on the show, but I've been keeping up. All right, I've been keeping up. I know some people have some varying thoughts, and I kind of have some varying thoughts about this show, but I, for the most part, enjoy it. Honestly, for the most part, enjoy it. However, I love Dune, and maybe probably need to, read the books one of these days. But, I enjoy the Dune world, and it's very interesting to see how the Bene Gesserit kind of came into power. Very interesting. Apparently, this is low key like a Harkonnen origin story as well. We got Mark Addy, Mr. Robert Baratheon, which is funny because I'm doing a Game of Thrones rewatch as well. Seeing him as Baron Harkonnen, I guess, up until this episode was really fun. But yeah, Tulia and Valia are Valia Wylan as the Reverend Mother. Tulia for bringing back Lila. And making her the second born, or the twice born, should I say. So yeah, that's going to be crazy. Nez and Constantine scheming with Kieran. We'll see how that works out, even though that just kind of backfired at the end of last week's episode. Desmond is going crazy, but it's working. All right, he is into the Carino Empire. He's fully infiltrated, but we still don't know exactly what his motivations are, besides him being extremely powerful. But shout out to Travis Fimmel. Shout out to Mr. Ragnar Lothbrok. But yeah, Dune Prophecy, I think it's hitting on all cylinders for me right now. I'm interested. I have no idea what the hell happened at the end of the episode, though. All right, so I'm going to need some clarification on whether that boy is really alive and what she did to keep him alive. So yeah, Dune Prophecy, cooking. It does get the record for me. Bad Bunny back with another single, El Club, and it slapped. All right, the man can't miss. It's Benito. All right, he's arguably the biggest artist. He's the biggest Latin artist in the world, at least I can say that. But yeah, I mean, Benito doesn't miss. So yeah, El Club slapped. No surprise there. Champions League, P Money and Smack. I'm gonna give this a 9. I'm actually going to give this a rating. I was debating on whether I was going to give it. I'm going to give this a rating. I'm going to give it a 9. This was very good. I think P Money is one of the best MCs maybe in the world. I love his wordplay. I love P's wordplay. Now, I found him on no picks, but listen, I think he is legitimately one of the best rappers, at least to me personally. One of my favorite rappers just because of it works. Like, I can't imagine a bad P Money song. Like, I just can possibly imagine it happening. He just cannot do any wrong. Smack, my first time listening to him, he's from the Czech Republic. And for the most point, added some good stuff. Had some moments where I was like, but it could just be me, not being familiar with his game, as they say. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9. Probably gonna be one of my favorite albums of the year, just because P Money is that guy. So yeah, Champions League, very good stuff. Fake, featuring Jamie, and then My G, probably two of my standouts. Probably more, honestly, because it was that good. Yeah, Champions League, very good stuff. P Money is that guy. Staying overseas, Skepa, another legend of the grind game, hopped on Alpha and Omega, produced by Lex Luger. Yeah, Lex Luger. And yeah, it was very good. All right, very, very good. Skepta's had a really good singles run lately. Miss Independent Feet Flow. We had Diligent to start the year. So yeah, Skepta, really, really good year so far. Even though it hasn't dropped the project. Some really good stuff though. And of course, Lex Luthor production, if you know, you know. All right, if you know, you know. Alpha Omega definitely gets the co-sign for me. Karri. All right, we had Late Night Slider last week. So yeah, we had Late Night Slider music. The EP dropped this week. The new songs that I had heard were Vengeance, Upper Hand, and 415 to the 6, and they all hit. All right, Karri can do no wrong for me right now. Definitely one of my favorite emerging artists, especially in that R&B, darker R&B space. He's got that classic Toronto sound, all right, that we've seen from Young Drake, Young Weeknd. And yeah, Karri, P&D, like Karri is definitely in that vein. He could be next. A lot of people think he might be next. Of course, had a little bit of a blow up on TikTok, but yeah, he makes very good music. Very good music. So yeah, if y'all looking for that, darker late night, that Toronto R&B vibe, as I love to call it, that sixth side, you got Karri. All right, he's got the goods. He is the goods. He is the goods. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was entertainment. And that brings me, of course, to the NFL. And we had a big game. All right. Sometimes, of course, y'all know how these Thursdays games are. Sometimes it's some BS. All right. It's, whoever, wherever, we don't really care. We're just going to bet you on Thursday. This week, we had one of the biggest games, probably maybe the biggest game of the week. Detroit taking on Green Bay for really who is going to take that AFC North or NFC North. And it came down to it, right? The Lions also could they clinch the playoffs on the line here? And it was back and forth. All right, it was a back and forth, very, very good game, but unfortunately it ends in heartbreak as Jake Bates does hit a 35-yarder to walk it off, and the Lions do clinch the playoffs. First team to do so this year and stay 12-1 and kind of really take command of that AFC North more than they already had it. Goff had 283 and 3 touchdowns. They're calling them Sonic and Knuckles now. But yeah, Monty and Gibbs have a very, for them, near pedestrian game. I mean, they still got both close to 100 scrimmage yards and had a touchdown apiece, but not like the craziest Sonic and Knuckles game, but still very very big game for them. Tim Patrick had 2 touchdowns, and yeah, Detroit again continues to look like the best team in the league. And imagine if they had Hutch still. Imagine if this team still had Hutch, how good they could be. But yeah, for the most part, still very much so look like the best team in the league. Josh Jacobs stays hot. He had 3 touchdowns in this game, but it was not enough, and it was not to be. The Lions do get it done at the buzzer, and like I said, remain the cream de la creme in the NFL. The Saints take care of the Giants because the Giants suck. Nothing else to really elaborate here. The 2 starting quarterbacks were Drew Lock and Carr. So I'm not going to put y'all do that and, go do that. But the game was ugly, 14-11. Saints win. Giants, y'all know what y'all are here for. Steelers take care of the Browns. Yeah, no theatrics this week. Steelers just took care of business. Russ, very efficient. Fairmouth did what he does. Jameis had 2 picks. So, everything. It's about what you would expect. All right. Literally exactly what you expect this year from the Steelers and the Browns. Very textbook game. Steelers get it done. Vikings put it on the Falcons. All right, this was a little bit of a get-back game, I feel, for the Vikings. They needed a game like this where they won definitively. All right, no close game, no, touch and go. They needed to win definitively. All right, make a statement. And they did that. All right, once again, the Falcons were the perfect customer. NFC South team, of course, you can't get too high, too low in that game, in that division. You get too high, time to get the brakes spit off you. Get too low, time to upset somebody. So you know how this goes. Kirk Cousins has been in a horrific slump, though. All right, he is arguably, I won't say because we got some pretty bad starting quarterbacks out there right now and some of them tanking teams, but of the normal starting quarterbacks, he's probably been the worst. He's thrown 6 picks in the last 2 weeks. 6. He threw 2 in this game after throwing 4 last week. He has not been good. He has not been good. It might be Penix time. It may just be Penix time in Atlanta because, yeah, Cousins is kind of throwing away the season. Sam Darnold, on the other hand, continues to, his renaissance, the Sam-assance, the Darnold-sance, whatever you want to call it. 347 and 5 touchdowns for the former USC Trojan. He dominated, and by the way, did it a lot to another former USC Trojan. Jay Addy, the douche man, had 8 receptions, 133 in the hat trick. Jettis had 7, 132 and 2 himself. So yeah, the dynamic duo for the Vikes get it done in a big way. Metellus and Byron Murphy also got those 2 interceptions off of Kirk. Bijan had a very solid game, but again, if you play with like the way Kirk Cousins is doing, you're not going to win games. So yeah, big decisions coming for the Falcons, but the Vikings get it done. The Bucks took care of the Raiders 28-13. Again, nothing crazy. Baker has been in full Favre mode as of late. Continued in this game. It was more of the positive Baker, positive Favre. 3 touchdowns, 2 picks here, but again, you're facing the Raiders. All right, took care of business. Did nothing too crazy. Brock Bowers did make an insane catch in this game, but again, not a surprise here. All right, Raiders are trying to get that top pick and get a quarterback. All right, and probably preferably Shedeur. And apparently, according to Shedeur, preferably Las Vegas. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. I think that would be a good move. But yeah, Bowers and Mayer are still Bowers and Mayer, but nothing crazy here. The Carolina Panthers continue to just be the best worst team in the league. I'm actually here for it. I'm here for it. It's a better development than just the worst team in the league to now they're the best worst team in the league because they are giving a contender a heart attack every single week. And if Xavier Legette had not dropped that ball, then oh boy, Philly, we could be talking about how y'all just blew it. All right? Because, yeah, Bryce Young continues to look better every week, even though he looked more human this week against the Eagles. The defense did a very good job, got a pick off of them. But yeah, once again, puts his team in a position to win. Came very close, but couldn't get it done. Hurts needs to decide whether he is a good quarterback or an elite quarterback. And I feel like he still hasn't figured that out. And I don't know if it's going, and it cost the Eagles before. I'm trying to figure out if they're loaded enough to make up for it this week or if it's going to cost them again. All right, so yeah. We'll see, but Hurts' play. Obviously, Saquon, he had 124 in this game, but what Hurts does, I think, is really going to determine how far this Eagles teams go and if they can contend with Detroit. They need Jalen Hurts to be elite. Not good, maybe very good, but they need him to be who they need him to be a star quarterback. All right, and he's been kind of hot and cold in these bigger moments. And this was kind of like one of those reminders where it was like, yo, if Hurts does what Hurts does, then maybe they put this game away, not putting this game completely on him. But if he rises to the occasion, maybe things are different. So yeah, Hurts got to decide what he wants to be. But for the Panthers, more good stuff. I don't know how the Tennessee Titans lost this game, but I got to respect the tank. The Jags do get this win. This was the no good, very bad game of the week. Even besides maybe even, I guess, that Giants game. This was another horrific one between two teams that just don't want to win. All right, these two teams literally tried to help the other team win. Mac Jones started this game. That tells you what you need to know about the Jaguars. Will Levis is still the target starter for the Titans. That lets you know all you need to know about the Titans. So yeah, very ugly. 10-6. Jags get the win and kind of mess up the tank a little bit. The Jets do not win this week. All right, I know. I hope you didn't even fall for that. The Dolphins get it done in overtime. Jonnu Smith from Tua, but yeah, crazy finish. All right, crazy finish. Jets once again were up leading in the fourth quarter and blew the lead. Cheetah, welcome back. Waddle has been here, but Cheetah's been a little bit of MIA, but he did get the game tire. So that's set up, with under a minute to go. Jets get the field goal, Anders Carlson, but then their defense lets the Dolphins get in field goal position. And Sanders hits it from 52. So we go to OT, and then, like I said, the Dolphins, Jonnu Smith, walk it off. Tua has 331 and 2 touchdowns. I can't even put this one on A-Rod. He had 339 and a touchdown in this game. All right, I cannot put this game on A-Rod, but I will put it on the Jets defense because y'all are not getting enough hate. All right, y'all are not getting enough hate. Sauce Gardner has been too busy being a streamer. All right, y'all weren't this bad against Salah. All right, so maybe that's it. Maybe that's the issue. But listen, y'all got to figure it out. I mean, this season's a wash. It's over. It's screwed. But y'all got to figure something out because this is not working. All right, it's not working, Jets. It's a bad, horrific look. When Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams are balling out, you can't put this game on right. A-Rod, it should be a game you win. All right, and y'all just found a way to lose. It is remarkable how the Jets find a new way to lose every single week. Jeter, like I said, was back in full effect. 10 receptions, 115 and a touchdown. But like I said, Jets defense has been hot garbage. All right, and they remain hot garbage, and the Dolphins get it done, and we're able to capitalize. Seahawks, Cardinals. All right, Seahawks get it done 30-18 because the Cardinals are a letdown. All right, they are a letdown. This was the perfect opportunity for the Arizona Cardinals to decide whether they had made the jump or whether they were the same old Cardinals. And we found out. All right, we found out that they are the same old Cardinals. Nothing has changed. All right, nothing has changed. Kyler needs to be better in this game, but the Cardinals in general need to be better in this game. All right, this was very unremarkable performance in a game that was pivotal. All right, it was pivotal for playoff contention for the NFC West. I mean, and the Cardinals laid an egg. I haven't seen the fan reaction from Arizona, but I can't imagine y'all are happy. I cannot imagine y'all are happy the way this just completely fell apart. All right, in this game. It was piss poor effort. It was terrible. All right, Charbonnet, by the way, big game for him. Career high, 134 yards and 2 touchdowns for him. Gino did what Gino did. JSN, by the way, very very quietly, is having a very good season, by the way. All right, top 10 in receptions, top 5 in receiving yards. He is looking like the prince that was promised, which is what JSN was supposed to be coming out of college. So yeah, he's been balling out, really taking over as that number one, target for Gino this season. And yeah, terrible. I have nothing good to say to you, Cardinals. Nothing good. This was a perfect opportunity, and you wasted it. Game of the week was the Los Angeles Rams and the Buffalo Bills. All right, this was an absolute banger. An absolute banger. There is no other way to put this. All right, this was the most entertaining football game for the NFL this week. I was going to say overall, and maybe it was overall, honestly, but certainly in the NFL. All right, this was game of the week. 44-42, the Rams do get the win, but my goodness, Josh Allen pretty much cemented himself as the MVP this week. 342 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. 82 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. That's a double hat trick for the MVP. Everything is going right. Besides losing this game, of course. Everything is going right in this man's life. All right? Josh Allen, I got a bunch of commercials. I'm engaged to Haley Steinfeld. She's going to be the future mother of my kids. I'm the MVP. I'm the best player in the world. I'm Josh Allen. I'm 6'5". I'm in New York. I'm the king of my city. I'm glazing. All right, I'm glazing, but the man is going off right now. What else can he is dominating. He is dominating. All right, so I've been long overdue because even when he was coming out, I said don't touch Josh Allen. Of any player, I've never been more wrong about one player, and I will sit here today, December 9th, and I will own up to it. All right, I was wrong. Josh, I was wrong. Bills fans, I was wrong. Which, to be fair, he was relatively a bum at Wyoming. Not completely his fault, but he was a bum at Wyoming. Let's be real. But he had all the physical gifts in the world. And I got to give a shout out to the Buffalo Bills talent development team because, by God, they molded him into an absolute monster because he was a beast. He was a beast in this game. He's been a beast all season, of course, the MVP in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion. But yeah, he was dominant in this game. But like I said, even with him getting a double Hattie 6 TDs, it wasn't enough. All right, it was not enough because Matthew Stafford continues to be a paragon in LA. 23 for 30, 320 and 2 touchdowns. Just a great performance there. Kyron Williams also got 2 in the box. Puka is back, baby. 12 receptions, 162 and a touchdown for Puka. Cooper Kupp also got a touchdown, so don't you worry, fantasy fans. But yeah, Puka dominated. I think Josh Allen dropped the 50 bomb, but yeah, Puka wasn't too far behind. And yeah, not a lot of defense in this game, so I'm not going to talk about anybody defensively. But yeah, Josh going for 6 TDs. Khalil Shakur had a big game, 5 receptions, 106 in the TD. But yeah, what a game. All right, what a game from an absolute neutral. I mean, for LA and Buffalo fans, probably extremely stressful. But from a neutral standpoint, there was not a better game to watch this week. So yeah, shout out to the Rams and Buffalo. Shout out to Josh Allen. Shout out to Puka. Very good stuff. All right, the 49ers took care of the Bears. Yeah, that's what, 7 straight losses for Chicago. Yeah, it's just kind of all falling off the rails. Caleb wasn't necessarily bad, but he wasn't, anything special in this game. But he didn't throw a pick. He didn't lose a fumble, so not completely turnoverless, but, small things. Annie, him, and Rome were kind of locked in. However, your defense was non-existent. And, yeah, y'all were kind of put in a deficit early. Purdy went 20 for 25, threw 25 and 2 touchdowns. Juwan Jennings had that one game where he looks like, Megatron. So, yeah, bad stuff. All right, very, very bad stuff for the Bears. 49ers with CMC out. And Garendo getting in. He had over 100 scrimmage yards. So, yeah, good stuff there. But, yeah, Chicago just in free fall. And lastly, the Kansas City Chiefs continue to be the worst one-loss team in the history of football. They get a game-winning field goal here from Matthew Wright. And what was a fourth quarter of field goals, just kind of back and forth to win this game. It was like a chess match, all right? It was simply put like a chess match. The Chiefs, once again, have mastered the art of winning. Not pretty, of ugly winning, okay? They will win in the most ugly, disgusting, voodoo-ish way possible, but they are winning. At the end of the day, they are winning, all right? Say what you want, and I will say it. All right, because Pat hadn't been great, even though he was better in this game, and it looks like, weather's getting colder, playoffs, games are getting bigger, he's starting to play better, but the Chiefs have not been the most aesthetically pleasing, I'll just say, the most aesthetically pleasing team, all right, but they have found ways to win, all right, and that's the name of the game. And that's what they've done better than everybody else. So, yeah, we'll see. But, yeah, another week of the Chiefs just kind of finding some way. It literally hit off the upright and then bounced it. I can't make this up. I cannot make this up. But Casey finds a way to win again. And, yeah, the Bengals and the Cowboys play tonight, which is going to be very interesting. Honestly, feels like a social experiment game. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the roundup. And, yes, all right, the F1 season has come to a close. Sadly so for me. Because it was a great season. Even though Max pretty much wrapped up the title race in, the first 9 races. But the races after that, boy, was it thrilling. All right? And honestly, it looked like we were going to end on a little bit of a low point because, Charles took that penalty when he would have been on pole. And then he got the lap deleted. So it was just, a mess. All right? It was just an absolute mess for Ferrari this weekend. And what is, of course, Carlos's last race with Ferrari. And yeah, it just kind of looked like Constructors was dead. But then Max Verstappen decided to Mad Max it. He takes out Oscar very early in this race, throws him to the back. So we have motion. And also we have motion because Charles Leclerc is Charles. All right, Chuck is Chuck. All right, CL is CL. All right, and Leclerc came from 19th all the way to 3rd But unfortunately, Lando was just too much. He started on pole. He converts the pole. He wins in Dubai, and McLaren does, in fact, win the Constructors. Zach was ecstatic. But yeah, a very emotional end to the season, honestly, with McLaren getting back on top and everything there. Um, the fighting between everybody at these last 2 weeks felt like a little bit everybody is tired of the season. Season been too long. So, people are irritable. Felt like a lot of that. The Ferrari boys breaking up and Carlos going to Williams felt very sad. Lewis, of course, last race with McLaren with Mercedes, and he had an incredible race as well, going from I think like 13th to 4th, a classic Lewis hammer time moment there, and a very emotional kind of after race moment with the rest of that entire Mercedes team that he's won so much with. So yeah, very emotional and in Dubai. Very, very emotional. And yeah, into probably my favorite season I've had so far as an F1 fan. And I think next year could be even better. All right, with Red Bull no longer looking dominant, though Max is still very much so the best in the world. Of course, Max also announced that he's becoming a father, and not just a stepfather to P, but an actual father with him and Kelly. So congratulations there to our champion. But the race for 5 is going to be very, very interesting. And I don't know if silly season is necessarily over in terms of Checo. And of course, we got all the rookies, one of which, Gabriel Bortoleto, won F2 this week. So he joins that very elite club of people who won F1 on the first try or F3 and F2 on their first tries in the rookie season. So yeah. However, Kimi is definitely still probably the most hyped, and even then maybe Ollie after that. So yeah, we will see, even though it was a miserable end, though Ollie kind of cooked. But yeah, terrible end for Kimi, by the way, in F2. Very unfortunate. But yeah, I think next season with all the rookies and just everything going on, I think it'd be a heater. So we will see what happens there. But ladies and gentlemen, that was F1 this year. College basketball, okay? CFB, or CBB, excuse me. Duke took care of Auburn this week. So, yeah, much to my surprise, Cooper Flag is still Cooper Flag, even though he hasn't been, I think, as dominant as people were expecting. So a lot of people are like, yo, is he still I don't know if he's generational. I don't know if he was ever generational. But I think he's still very much so elite. I think just his feel for the game and his floor is so high. I just don't see him being necessarily a bad player. I feel like he feels so safe as a number overall pick. I feel so safe with Cooper Flag, right? So safe. But yeah, we took care of Auburn. Kansas apparently used all their powers to beat us because they lost to Mizzou and Creighton this week. So yeah, there will be a new number 1. And maybe it should be Kentucky because Mark Pope has figured it out. He is already looking better than Calipari, and I didn't really expect that. But yeah, Mark Pope might get a statue in Kentucky if he keeps this up. They took out Purdue. So yeah, interesting developments in the men's side, women's side. We had some statements being made, okay? TCU has been riding high. Of course, Sedona Prince and HVL have been a dynamic duo for them. But South Carolina beat the brakes off of them yesterday. Ashlyn Watkins also dunked. UConn packed up Louisville, and Page didn't even go off. All right, Sarah Strong very much so looks like the number 1 freshman in the country, and of course Juju Watkins stayed hot. All right, she dropped a 40 ball last week, and yeah, she stayed hot this week. So yeah, Juju looking like maybe the best player in the country. We will see as we keep going. La Liga. All right, we're going out over there because we got to talk about Real Madrid. Barca also is choking away the La Liga lead. Their squad depth, once again, is being the bane of their existence. Real Madrid, Mbappe has been starting to heat up in the league, but has been awful in the Champions League. So, yeah, Don Carlos still got to figure that out. They're also dealing with some injuries, but I got faith. It's hard because he is definitely overthinking things, but yeah, I need Kylian to stop thinking so much and start being Kylian Mbappe again. Okay, because I see it. It's still in there. But we got to get it out. All right, we got to get it out. It's been a rough start, but I'm not going to give up after 5 months. That'd be insane. Juan Soto just got generational money. Even though it hurts my soul to see him go be a trader and go to the Mets. Steve Cohen has a lot of money, and he just spent it on the richest contract in North American sports history. 15 years, $765 million. I should have kept swinging it back. That's all I gotta say about it. That's more than Otani, for those wondering. Yeah. But yeah, it hurts. It hurts. As a Yankees fan, this hurts because this guy could have been the face of the franchise. And yeah, we got outbid. Joe's Mets sucks. But at least he didn't go to, the Dodgers or to the Red Sox. So I guess it could have been worse, but yeah, it still sucks to see him go across town. So yeah, Soto gets generational money though. Can't argue with that. And of course, the MLS Cup was this week. And how about that for the boys? LA Galaxy, my day ones. First soccer team I ever supported. Okay, they get the win their sixth MLS Cup, 2-1 over the Red Bulls. All 3 goals, by the way, came in the first 30 minutes, and they did this without star Ricky Puig, as he did tear his ACL in the semifinal, unfortunately. But yeah, the Galaxy. Been a big turnaround these past 2 years, really since Ricky came. Even though I think it really started before Ricky came, but him coming in and LA just kind of accepting the rebuild and not relying as much on even though Ricky is obviously a big super talent, but not relying on those old legends to come in and save us and really building that team. Um, really, benefited them. And it worked out this year in spades. And of course, like I said, win their 6th MLS Cup. And yeah, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. All right, that is it. That is it. We are fully into December now. And yeah, we'll see what next week has. Probably an NBA segment comes back next week. College basketball will be back next week. As not so much college football and combat sports stuff. So yeah, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, though, for episode 227, Ocho signing off.